Hi, welcome to the CrafteeManatee. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet your own granny square headband. I'm using the Granny Square All-in-One yarn by Red Heart. This is a super fun yarn. This is actually the petite size. They have a larger size that I've used for a cardigan. That should be up on the channel soon or might already be posted. That's super fun as a project as well. But for this is the petite size, so these squares are much smaller than the other size, which makes it perfect for a headband. But this yarn is great because it changes color exactly where you want it to for each round. So it's already like pre-measured out. They have it designed so that it switches each round to a new color. And they have several different color patterns that you can choose from to make a variety of different colored headbands. In today's video, I am going to show you how to crochet one of these granny squares. If you already know how to crochet granny squares, that's great. Just go ahead and crochet 3 granny squares that are 3 rounds each, and then you can fast forward through the video to the joining them together and the yarn tails here that are going to be used as ties. But if not, make sure to keep watching and I will show you step by step how to make a granny square. Also, before we get started, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel and share the video with a friend who you think would enjoy learning how to crochet their own granny square headband. Here are the materials that you're going to need to crochet the granny square headband. First, you're going to need about 30 grams of worsted weight yarn. If you're using the same yarn as me, it is the Red Heart Granny All-in-One square yarn, the petite size. There is a larger size. For this headband, we're using the petite size. Or you can use different colors of worsted weight yarn. These are 3 round granny squares, so you'll want to use 3 different colors if possible, or you can make it a solid color as well. It's totally up to you. But about 30 grams of worsted weight yarn. For this, it does come out to 4 squares because we are going to use some of the yarn for the ties. So we'll be using 4 squares of the Granny All-in-One square yarn. And we're also going to need a crochet hook. I'm going to be using the 5.5 millimeter crochet hook or the letter I. And finally, we will need scissors and a tapestry needle for tucking in yarn tails at the end. To get started, we are going to chain 4. And then we will slip stitch to the first chain that we made to form our starting circle. And now we are going to chain 6. And work 2 and work 3 double crochet stitches down into that ring that we made in our first step. And now chain 3 and work 3 more double crochet stitches into the center of that ring. And now chain 3 again. And work 3 double crochet stitches down into the center of that ring. So there's a lot going into the center here. And now we will chain 3. And now instead of working 3 double crochet stitches, we are only going to work 2 because that starting chain 6 counts as our final double crochet and a chain 3. So we will just work 2 double crochet stitches, and then we will slip stitch into the middle of this chain 6. So you want to count 3 and slip stitch into that third stitch. So that leaves us a space here to count as our chain 3 corner spaces. And as you can see, I'm using the all-in-one granny square yarn. So my color did change just a little earlier than I want it to. You can absolutely leave this one stitch in red and it will be very hard to tell in the end. But what I'm going to do is back up just a little bit. So I'm going to work back to the final stitch in this third cluster. And I'm going to just work my tension a little bit tighter. So at this point, I just need to work that double crochet, a chain 3, and then 2 more double crochet stitches. And I'm just working that a little bit tighter than what I have been working it as. And that is going to allow the color to change at this slip stitch point instead of in that final stitch, which is exactly what we want for this seamless color change. And now for our round 2, we will slip stitch into that corner space. So that is slip stitching down into that starting chain 6 space. We want to slip stitch into the corner so that we are starting at the corner. And now we will chain 6, and now work 3 double crochet stitches down into that same space that we slip stitched into, this corner space. And now we will chain 1. So we're going to be chaining 1 on the edges, and then we will work 3 double crochet stitches into the corner. And now chain 3. And we're going to work 3 more double crochet stitches into the same space that we made those first 3 right there. So this is helping the corners stay corners. Each corner is going to get 2 of these double crochet clusters and a chain 3 space to separate them. And now we will chain 1 because we are on the edge here, and then work 3 double crochet stitches in this corner, followed by a chain 3, and then 3 more double crochet stitches back into that corner. Now we are on to an edge, so we will chain 1 and then work 3 double crochet stitches, and a chain 3, and 3 more double crochet stitches, all in that corner space. And then chaining 1. And now we are back around the square, back to our first corner that we worked. And this is going to be worked just a little bit differently because we already have quite a few stitches in here. We have that starting chain 6 and then 1 cluster of these double crochet stitches. So we just need 2 more double crochet stitches into that corner space. And then we will slip stitch into the middle of that chain 6 space, and that completes our second row. And as you can see on this row, I was actually crocheting a little bit too tight instead of too loose like I was the first round. This yarn really will test your tension, and it shows that I don't have great tension. So I'm going to actually just back up a little bit, work with a looser tension, and I will meet you back here for round 3 after I get my color change to line up like I want it. And of course, if you are using this yarn, you can just leave the color changes where they are. It's almost always close enough that no one will really notice other than you. But I am a perfectionist sometimes, so I like to make sure that the color changes where I want it to change. So I'll meet you back here for the start of round 3. And now for round 3, which is going to be the final round for this size granny square, we will slip stitch down into that first corner space and then chain 6. And now work 3 double crochet stitches into the corner space. And now we will chain a 1 and now work 3 double crochet stitches into the next chain 1 space of the previous round. So we'll work 3 double crochet stitches here and then chain 1. And we are to another corner, so we will do our typical corner stitch here, which is the 3 double crochet stitches separated by a chain 3 and then another cluster of 3 double crochet stitches. And now chain 1 and work 3 double crochet stitches into the next chain 1 space of the previous round. And now chain 1 and we are to another corner, so we will work 3 double crochet stitches and a chain 3 and 3 more double crochet stitches and then a chain 1 and 3 more double crochet stitches in the next chain 1 space. So of course you should be starting to see the pattern here now, but I will continue working it. We're working the single clusters in the chain 1 spaces and then the double with a chain 3 separating it in the corner spaces. So for this final corner here, well, our second to last corner, our final repeat here, we are going to be working those 3 double crochet stitches with a chain 3 and then 3 more double crochet stitches into that corner space. And then we have a chain 1 and a 3 double crochet stitches going into the chain 1 space of the previous round. And then a chain 1. And now we are to our final corner, which was also where we started. So like in the previous round, this corner stitch already has 1 of those clusters done. And then that chain 6 counts as 1 double crochet as well. So all we have to do is work 2 double crochet stitches into this corner space. And then we will work a slip stitch into the center of that chain 6 there. And I'm going to go ahead and just slip stitch down into the corner like we would starting a round. And that just helps clean everything up. And now we can fasten off our yarn. I'm going to leave a long yarn tail for sewing. With this color changing yarn, every square I've done, I've been getting a decent amount left over. So that is helpful for sewing in at the end. I think they plan this for that reason. That way you have a little tail if you want to attach these together, which we will do in our next step. Go ahead and make 2 more of these squares, exactly the same, and I will meet you back here after you have done that And you can go ahead and tuck in that center yarn tail, but don't tuck in or cut off this long yarn tail at the end, which for me is the orange. And I'll meet you back here for sewing these squares together. Alright, I am back with those 3 granny squares completed. You can go ahead and set one aside for now. And now attach the yarn tail of either one of these onto your needle. Mine is fraying quite a bit there, but we got it on. And now we are going to attach these two together. So what I'm going to do is just fold them in half. So just stack them with the right side, the good side facing each other. And then I'm going to take the yarn tail and just do a whip stitch around the border. So I'm going to just insert my needle through both layers, through both stitches there, and pull the yarn through, and it will just loop the yarn around. I think this is called a whip stitch. I don't do a lot of sewing, so it's just what I've always called this joining method. But all it's doing is attaching this, and the loop stitches are going to be on the wrong side, so you'll never see them, and the right side will just look joined like that. So go ahead and do that to these two squares right here. And you'll do that for the third one as well. So I won't show you working this whip stitch all the way on every single square, but just do that for this border. And then the same thing for this border here. So we'll fold that on top of each other. Make sure you have the right sides facing in, facing together whenever you sew, and then work a whip stitch along this seam as well. And that's just going to join those together in a straight line. And I'll meet you back here once we're done with that for our final steps of this headband. Alright, I am back with those 3 granny squares all sewn together, and I've also worked one of the edges here, one of the ties, just so that you can see how that is going to be worked, and then I'll work one on camera with you. So I am still using the granny square yarn, so I'm just letting it change colors where it would for the granny square, but obviously not working a granny square. So technically wasting one of the granny squares that you can make with the ball of yarn, but I'll just cut it off after the orange yarn ends. That way I can just start the next yarn ball exactly how it would be, because these ties aren't going to take up more yarn than one of the squares will, if that makes sense. But anyway, to work one of those ties, I'm going to just flip this around to the other side here and insert my hook through both of these corners here. So I'm just going to go under like that and then pop back through like this. And that is just going to pinch the square in half, as you can see on this other side. And then I'm going to attach the yarn here. So we are going to pull through, and it pinches those together and secure it like that. And now I'm going to chain 50, and you can change this chain number to however many or however few you want. I felt like 50 gave a decent amount of tie here to tie behind my head, but if you want to make it longer or shorter, by all means, feel free to do that. So I will chain 50. And now I am going to single crochet back along this chain. So I'll skip the first chain next to my hook and then single crochet all the way back down. So that will give us 49 single crochet stitches back down along this chain. You can also leave this as just a chain if you want a thinner tie. I kind of liked the look of it changing colors, and you only really get that, as you can see right as I said that, it changed colors. I actually did not see that coming. But we are going to just single crochet, like I said, all the way down. And I do like the look of the color change along with the thicker ties. I feel like they are easier to tie and are less likely to get tied in a knot and get stuck. But that's totally up to you and your preference. You can also make them thicker if you want to do that. There's a lot of different options with these ties, but this is how I'm working this one. So feel free to customize it however you want. And I'll meet you back here once we get down to the end of this chain. That way you don't have to watch me make a ton of single crochet stitches. So I'll meet you back in just a second. All right, I am now back to the end of that chain. And to finish this off, I am going to just slip stitch back into both of those corners. So my hook is through the first corner and the second corner, and I'm going to make a slip stitch that is going to just help tie this back to the base of our headband here. And then we can fasten off the yarn and tuck in the yarn tails. And we are done with our granny square headband. And here is our finished granny square headband. I hope you enjoyed today's video learning how to crochet your own granny square headband. If you did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more crochet patterns and tutorials. Thanks for watching. Bye.